Welcome to Megapath Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk about The Walking Dead mid-season finale. And this has to do with the big moment that they announced right before Talking Dead. A voiceover announcer said, "Come back next week definitely and watch episode 8 live, so you do not miss the big moment that's going to happen that everyone after the show will be talking about." Now, a lot of fans think this has to do with a spoiler that's been floating around since almost the beginning of Season 8. And that's what we're going to be discussing specifically. I'm going to hold off on my... we got a prediction video coming up for the mid-season finale. I'm not going to do that in this video. I'm going to keep this one specifically related to that spoiler topic. So if you don't want to hear anything about spoilers, go ahead and skip this video. And be careful, because even if the spoiler is wrong, it will be spoiled. The real big moment will be spoiled definitely before Sunday. So be careful all over the internet. They send the episode out, I believe it's to do the subtitles, and I'm hearing that a lot of times when they send it out, clips actually get taken and put online, or the script, or just people talk about the scene. So just be careful. I know that was a big problem I heard in Season 5. A whole episode, Tyrese's death episode, was spoiled that way 2 days or 3 days before it aired. So just be careful. Anyway, we're diving into this in 3, 2, 1. All right. So the big spoiler was Carl. Now, Carl, right? Now, I asked a couple spoiler mods on this channel to tell me why spoiler people think it is Carl, and they said it has to do with him being seen all bloody and him being around knives or possibly stabbed to death, or maybe they are assuming he was stabbed to death because he was covered in blood. Now, I find it interesting that he was covered in blood and near a knife in episode 6 when he saved Sadiq. He fell on a dead animal, and it looked like there was knives or spears or something poking out of that animal, and that, you can say, is foreshadowing his death coming up. He's covered in blood, there's knives or spears there, or that is the episode they saw him covered in blood on, when he was filming that. Now, the spoiler mod did say it was at nighttime, or a nighttime shoot and then a daytime shoot, and they get their episodes pretty much right because they can kind of see where the filming is at. So let's just say it's not episode 6, but I think it is an odd coincidence that he's covered in blood just before they saw him covered in blood for his death. But I'll admit it could be foreshadowing. And yes, that's really all they got to go on. That, and the actor tweeted out something saying, I don't think I'll ever be this famous again. And a lot of actors have actually spoiled their deaths in tweets, not meaning to, but accidentally did. So it is possible that's what he means. However, what I do find really interesting is if you look at these images, the actor got his hair cut a week after they wrapped filming. And a lot of actors will put their schedules when they're hot. They're not going to wait. They will put their schedules around their current filming schedule. Like Sasha, for example, she was killed off, or was told she was going to be killed off of The Walking Dead. So she went and got a job with Star Trek. She didn't get Star Trek, and then she got killed off. Or because of Star Trek, she got killed off. So I do think it's too much of a coincidence that Carl would have gotten his hair cut and taken this job. I'm not sure if they could make it so he's contractually obligated to keep his hair cut even if he does get killed off. So I do think it's possible that he is still alive, and because the season ended, he was then able to get his hair cut, because when they come back in a new season, he can have a different hairstyle. Slightly different, because keep in mind, his hair is still long. You look at it on top, too. It is slicked back. It still has some length, but it was absolutely trimmed. And we only seen him in that flash forward from behind, where his hair was long, but we couldn't tell if there was some type of trim. They could definitely do that. We've had characters like Dwight, who has short hair or shorter hair, and then in the story, only a few days go by, or maybe a week, but in filming a whole year, a whole season goes by, and his hair grows very quickly timeline-wise. So I don't put it past them for them to film him with long hair, and then he gets this haircut where he has long hair, but some of it's kind of short on the sides. and then they have him come back, and they pretend that's the same haircut. You know what I mean? I don't put it past them to do that. But anyhow, how does this relate to Carl and Siddiq and Rick? And this is the important dynamic here. I think this is very, very, very important because right now Rick heard some of what Siddiq said, and then Carl went back and got Siddiq. But if Carl just dies and Rick shows up, because keep in mind in the previews, it looks like Rick is pinned down with the trash people, and then Rick shows up the day later. They're attacked at nighttime at Alexandria. Rick shows up a day or two later, so Alexandria is already attacked. And apparently that's when Carl would die, and Rick finds him as he's dead or dying. Now, if he saves Siddiq, Rick heard what Siddiq said. He shows up and Carl's dying. If you start connecting the dots, there's something missing. There's not enough there. If you tell me that's how it ends up, I'm not seeing it. You know what I mean? But if you told me that Rick chased off Siddiq, and then Carl went back and saved Siddiq, and then Negan attacks Alexandria, and something happens to where Siddiq is the one who saves Carl. Carl does get injured, maybe really badly, but Siddiq is the one who saves him. The idea, and I know, I will admit, it's a little bit loose, but the idea here is Rick didn't show Siddiq mercy, he chased him off. And Carl showed Siddiq mercy, and because of that, Siddiq was there to save Carl's life. Hence, my mercy prevails over my wrath. Rick was focused on wrath. I don't know. I'm trying here, guys. Anyway, and Rick shows up, and he realizes a lot of people are dead. Alexandria is in rubbles. And we could even pick a character to get a big death. There's no one off the top of my head I think fits perfectly right here except for kind of minor characters. So we're not going to dive into that. We'll stay focused on Carl. But Rick shows up, and I know this is not what you want to hear. You want to hear something big or crazy. But I do think the destruction of Alexandria is going to be the part of the huge moment. And possibly they'll leave us on a cliffhanger thinking that Carl is dead, and they're going to try to fake us out like they did with Glenn. And I know that's not what you want to hear, but this is what I'm feeling. I tried to take the bait, and I tried to pretend in my mind that Carl was the one who dies, but I'm just not seeing the connections. I don't understand it. Unless Carl, the actor, did not want to be on the show anymore, or his contract negotiations fell through, or something else happened along that lines, I would understand it then, but I'm not seeing it storyline-wise. If Rick shows up and his kid is dead, I don't know how he makes that connection with Siddiq where it even makes sense, and I don't know how he doesn't go crazy and just murder every savior in his path until he gets to Negan. I don't get it. But if Siddiq is the one who saves him, and again, there's still a piece missing, and when Rick shows up and he sees what his actions has done in a way, starting this war, Alexandria is destroyed, his son his son's life was saved potentially, but he still got hurt. People he does care about is dead. Let's throw Judith to the wolves. Maybe she is the one who died. I won't go into that. I do have a death prediction video for her. You could check that out. But there is something missing, and I think because Siddiq saves Carl, Rick plays back that line, or maybe Siddiq even says that again, and Rick weighs it on his mind as the burning rubble of Alexandria is behind him. People lost. It seems like he lost the war. He doesn't know what happened to the hilltop. They took a crushing defeat. Maybe the Heapsters even left, so now he has less of an army. And he does have to rely on finding other armies like Oceanside, stuff like that. I could talk in circles for a minute. I'm trying to convince myself that it is truly going to be something big, but I think it will be just a similar fake out like with what they did with Glenn. As much as anyone out there hated what they did with Glenn, I loved it. I think it was great. It gave the actor a big hoorah before his death, and it was successful. The internet blew up. Any video you made on Glenn blew up, got hundreds of thousands of views. Fans were discussing it, even if you hated it. The only one I think blew up but still had negative backlash, true backlash, is the season 6 cliffhanger. That really pushed, I feel, some fans to just binge watch it instead of watching live, and it felt like a huge gimmick, and they felt like they were being played around with, so I get that. But with the Glenn's death, it didn't feel the same way, and I do see them trying to capture that moment again, giving us something big, but at the same time tricking, misleading, fooling us into thinking that Carl is the one who dies in the mid-season finale. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think it is a mislead. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I think it is something different. I do believe that Alexandria will be in Rebels, and I do believe that at the end of episode 8, Rick does believe that they are defeated or they are way worse off than they were when they first started. I truly believe that, and I think that's going to be something where he's going to have to re-rally his troops again and build a counterattack. And I think that's where Maggie's going to come in. Now this is starting to click with me. Rick might be in a rut after taking such a loss, and I don't think he needs to lose a child to take that loss. And he did say that when this is all over, he's going to follow Maggie. Well, what if it's Maggie is the one who helps him, pull his shit together and mount a counterattack against Negan? We got a whole nother half a season. We are going to go into more battles, and I am excited for more battles in the second half. All right, that's it. I'm gonna shut it. I'm gonna take a break, stop, and listen to what you guys have to say. Give me your thoughts, theories, opinions, predictions. Lay it at my feet. Put it down in that comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn.